All right, then, welcome one and all to another date on Journalist Hangout. It's a midweek. I am Citizen Jones Hussein. Now, today on the program, National Assembly inflates budget by 60%, makes it 9.1 trillion naira. Buhari releases 10 billion naira to rebuild states affected by herdsmen farmers crisis. APC chieftains urge Buhari to save party from sinking, and later on, Nigerian refineries added 10% to petrol consumption in 2017. Let's say I'm hanging out with colleagues Babajide Kolade Otitoju. Did I greet you?
I greet you, Citizen.
Yeah. Here's a returning Majid Jamiu. I greet you.
President Jones.
Welcome. How do you
Good
do?
evening.
Yeah.
I'm good.
And of course, Asokwa James is here. I greet you too.
Good evening, Citizen.
Okay then, the team is ready. I hope you are. Okay then, quickly, away from all this, tomorrow Ramadan commences, so we share the moment with all our Muslim viewers across the world, near the country. We wish you well. Now, in our country, Nigeria, the politics of opportunism forms the new guiding principle, much as it had during military regimes of the past. Inflation of the budget from the state to the central levels remains a sore point in our political evolution. The chief protagonist is the politician. Now, President Muhammadu Buhari presented a draft copy of the proposed 2018 budget to the National Assembly 6 months ago. The Nigerian Senate increased the original 8.612 trillion estimates to 9.12 trillion naira, representing an inflation of 6%. 6%, not too much, but 6% of that amount is so much money.
It's so much money.
And so you're asking, why the inflation?
Well, because it was the best thing to do. I believe that the increase in revenue sources, especially rising oil prices, will certainly absorb the increase that has been made by the National Assembly. And you will see that they bore all kinds of factors in mind before coming up with this increase. For example, they moved the crude oil benchmark from $45 to $50.5, and they also increased the current expenditure from 3.49.
They have a right to do so.
They have a right. It's well within their right to do that. If they think that the president didn't budget enough money to a particular ministry, and the ministry is a critical one, it's well within their powers to increase the allocation. They can increase the benchmark, because as we can see, on November 7, when the president presented the budget, the oil prices were hovering around $50 a barrel. But today,
So you
it
could
even
understand
got
the
up to
benchmark
80.
of
Yes.
$45
Yes,
at that time.
at that time. But right now, they have moved it to 50. They have moved it to 50 in realizing that oil prices are going up. It got to even $80 the other day. So what they have done is in line with reality, and it's, in my view, given the aggressive nature that the government is pursuing tax revenue, and given the fact that oil prices are rising, we should be able to accommodate those revenue streams should be able to accommodate the increase that has been made to the budget.
Good. Majid, this is not saying, we are not talking about the likelihood of the price of crude oil going down in future.
Yeah, even if it goes down, like they said, it's within their constitutional powers to adjust the budget. I mean, to meet with modern day reality. And then that's why they are there as representatives of the people. And also they have taken into consideration the fact that 2019 is an election year. And oftentimes it is the budget of the preceding year. It's like the budget of this year's budget that will be used to fund that election year budget, because the elections are going to start by February, and by that time I doubt if 2019 budget would have even been passed. So they have taken that into consideration by increasing the budget by about 6%, about 530 billion. Now, we should understand that this is not the first time budget is being increased, especially given consideration for an election year. In 2011, the budget was increased by up to 17% to accommodate election year expenditure, then from 4.2 to 4.9 trillion. No. Now, they have done this year. If you look at what happened 2 years ago, in 2016, they actually cut the budget by 0.3%. So it's not all the time that the National Assembly increases the budget. And they are doing so this year to cater for what you call the sinking fund. This is a fund that is meant to cater for maturing loans. I mean, you expect some loans that will mature, so you are making provisioning for it. Then statutory deductions. Those are like first-line charges. I mean, they are taking care of that, given consideration for the budget that is coming. Then also, like the 10 billion that the president just gave to states that are being affected by the earthquake. Some of these monies will be taken care of from funds like that. And also, they're also making more provision for the servicing of debts. There's a little percentage that was earmarked for that. So I think they have done well. It is within their ambit. It is within their power to either increase or reduce the budget. They can, like Jide said, they can actually adjust from one ministry of more imperative need, I mean, to another, from another ministry that they feel the needs are not actually much. So
this has nothing to do with the politics of
inflating
the budget for selfish gains.
No. But then we still need to see the details. I mean, it is within their ambit to increase it, but we need to see the details to see where they actually put, they have actually put these funds, because I can see that it affected both current expenditure, which takes care of the salaries and emoluments, and also capital expenditure, which we use to fund infrastructure and other projects.
Well, Asukwo, you know, as a neophyte, I don't know anything. Finance is not my base, so I get educated when people like this talk these figures. But mine is, the man on the street is wondering if it was worth all the delay, 6 months. Did it really matter? Looking back now.
If the man on the streets was actually employed by the government and his salaries were all paid, it won't matter. But if it affected maybe his fuel, for instance, and his pocket in any way, it's going to matter to him or to the person. Right now, we are just looking at, okay, fine, they've increased the budget by about 500 billion. Nigerians will be looking at the details, which ministry is going to get to what. Now, from what the Senate said, okay, they said from now there will be at least the health sector, which is for the first time I'm hearing this, the health sector will be getting 1% of their entire budget, which is a plus. So it means the primary health sector will now have budgets whereby the health sector will be tackled, maybe they will have to start building new primary health centers and all. Now, for the ordinary man, what he wants to see is that, okay, I'm going to the market and I can buy food to eat.
Yeah. And the money I have can give me the meal I want.
Exactly. And then don't forget, in this same budget, from what Saraki said, the fuel subsidy was not captured. So that is going to be another problem. If, for instance, we start having issues of fuel scarcity, the Senate will now say they didn't capture it. Maybe they will now bring, that is where the executive will now start sending another bill, supplementary bill.
Yeah.
So for the ordinary man, let's wait for the details. We need to wait for the details of where this 500 billion is going to, because for me, I think we are having so many projects. I would have loved them to, before increasing, to wait for what they use the monies in the past for before they increase. Because from what I gathered, we've not even made up to 2 trillion naira of capital projects.
Yeah, yeah.
And we are now increasing more projects, because if you look at it, is even the capital project, the capital expenditure that has more in this new increase. So we have to start looking at all those little details. Nigerians have to open their eyes.
Yeah, that should be.
That's the way it should be. Because we said we want to spend ourselves out of recession. Now we've spent ourselves out of recession. We need to stabilize ourselves. And one way to reflate an economy is to increase spending on capital projects. Certainly, more people will get jobs. By the time you turn the country to a huge construction site, employment will be generated, and even the woman who sells kose, what's it called?
Make me well.
Bean cake to people, to construction workers.
Well.
Okay, that's what we call it. Even that person too will benefit because it goes to the site. Yes, so it can actually help the economy. Even the Americans. That was what Obama did. Obama had to spend so much on infrastructure, just as a way of moving America out of one of the most remarkable recessions in recent times. So it's a good thing that we are budgeting so much to capital projects. But what I want to see is a good chunk of this of the revenue coming in, new revenue, being spent on reducing the cost of debt servicing, because the cost of debt servicing is a big problem for us. Yeah. So if we can even divert some of the revenue to even stopping us from piling on debts as much as possible, there will be a good thing. And I want to see the tax drive that the government has begun, is a good one. Their plan is to ensure that we are able to tell ourselves that, yes, 15% of our GDP, our tax revenue will be equal to 15% of our GDP. Right now, we are in the realm of 6% of our GDP. If they can do that, consistently, we will be able to fund our budgets or fund a substantial portion of our budget from tax receipts. We are unable to do that. And when people say, 9 trillion, this is high, it is still small. South Africa's budget is $200 billion. Our own budget, the way it is now, is just 28 billion. There are some countries that are not as big as Nigeria, that their budget, in Africa, their budget is higher than ours. Angola is an example.
Jide, you also must take into account, we are not a producing country. So the strictures are still there. I mean, power, for instance, is still at odds. We are not generating up to
I know, but what I'm saying,
key.
Yes, I know that there are smaller countries than us, than Nigeria, that even export power. Mozambique exports power even to South Africa. That is just its neighbor. So, but what I'm saying is people should not say, this budget is extremely high and all that. There are countries that are smaller than us. Angola is an oil-producing nation like us. And Angola, I've seen Angolan budget even rise higher than Nigerian budget.
Majid, always it's not really the budget, the size or otherwise. It's as much as it is implementation. And we talk about a deficit budget which we've been running over time. Implementation. You're wondering when we'll get it right. That's one. The other angle to it is our financial year should ideally be January to December.
Yeah, I was even going to say that before you asked that we should have a financial discipline as a country. If we have a budget year, a financial year, so to say, of January to December, and this budget was submitted on November 7, That's about 2 clear months before the end of the year. So even if you excuse the National Assembly that they'll take some break or what have you, 3 months, that maybe by January, the budget ought to have been passed. So a National Assembly that takes a break because a member that was supposed to answer a police call, fails to do that, and he was forcefully arrested, a National Assembly that was shut down because of that, and leave issues of
and other
governance
things.
and things. I mean,
and other things.
but fine.
That is assuming that that is the only reason for the delay.
And the only
There were government officials that failed to go and defend.
Yes.
There were government officials that were told,
according to the Senate.
according to journalists covering the
Yes,
Senate.
but then
there were government officials that were told, go and bring so. It got to a point that the president had to even issue ultimatum to them. We are in this country. So it's not the Senate alone that is to blame.
Yes, but
when we talk about
all
discipline,
parties,
the discipline has to be across
Yes,
board.
the executive, they are also guilty to some extent. But then we've had instances where things exchange hands before budgets are passed, and it's still happening. So this National Assembly might be giving us an excuse that they are calling these people. Maybe those people already know what they are calling them for. The president
gave a directive, go and face these people.
Yes, so we should have financial discipline by ensuring that these budgets are passed on time. While the National Assembly should do its bit, the executives too should also make sure that they do the breakdown and do the explanation. And also, in terms of how the money is being expended, I think for once, the 508 billion increment, about 350-something million, which is about 65%, is going to capital expenditure, which is a fantastic one. But the remaining, the one that goes to recurrent, we want to know what is going to be spent on.
It's an increase.
Yes, there is an increase.
No, they are going to make the increase across board.
Yes, so we want to know.
Graduated manner.
we want to know what it's going into.
Asokwa, as we sit here, in my mind's eyes, I'm looking at good old Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, good old second Niger Bridge, good old Abeokuta Lagos Road, and if you will, new look Lagos Calabar, Lagos
and the Lagos Kano Expressway.
Express.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's being captured in this budget. And already, I know, like this week, there was a flag off for the Lagos-Abeokuta Expressway. So they will start work immediately. And then the Lagos-Ibadan, they started work too.
I've gone back to site.
Then the second Niger Bridge, they're also on site as we speak. So it means the executive...
They've done more than 45%.
Yeah, 45%. So it means we are seeing something from the budget, even though it took them 6 months before they passed it.
So the muscle flexing...
that one is just
negligible.
No, yeah, of course we can now
play it down.
Play that one down because we saw some tangible work being done in this major critical project across the country. So what we should be looking at as citizens is for us to pile more pressure on the executive, because it's the executive now, because we want to see the implementation of this budget across board in the health sector, in the education, particularly education.
And this
because I'm even surprised
this government prides itself as having released the highest amount to capital expenditure.
Which is good. We can give that to them.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about education. Apart from health, we've done something about health. I would have loved maybe in the next budget when maybe, I don't know who's going to, if it's the president or another president, we don't know yet. But the thing is, we need to put more. But we need to
at least match the UN
the
benchmark,
which is 26% at least. Because I know it's only in the entire state.
Jonathan came close to
very close. That, so then in the states, I know Katsina.
Yes.
All right,
yes.
So Majid, bury it quickly.
Yes, it's not an aberration for them to increase the budget. I mean, I see newspapers using inflates. So in a year like 2016,
semantics.
Yeah, in a year like 2016,
we went for a shorter word.
where they reduce the budget. What do you call that? You say deflate? So I think they are just within.
All right, quickly. I hear we can take Femi here in Lagos. Femi, welcome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
What else about that is that if we take a minute sector out of it, like last year, we take a minute sector of that budget and we look at it critically, we will know that it is not the budget that is at fault, but the implementation. For example, if we take like maybe out of we just say, okay, the amount of money we voted for the university teaching hospital, how was it expended? What was given to them? How, for the last 1 year, then we take some other sector like that, minute sector, to investigate it. Then we'll be able to see that it's not the budget, but the implementation of the budget is having problems.
It's key here. Jide, very quickly.
I think that he made a valid point.
Exactly.
Most times, these capital releases are not made until we are even close to the end of the year.
Exactly.
So that's why budget implementation is usually a problem.
Yeah.
If we can achieve even 60% implementation at the federal level, I think apart from Lagos State, I don't know any state that really does so well in terms of budget implementation. If we can achieve 60% of the implementation of this budget, honestly, I'll do Thanksgiving.
Oh, okay then, we'll leave it there, but then let the debate continue. It is now official. 2018 budget has been passed by the Senate. It's the news. The next day tells what will happen. Oh, now, still to come, Buhari releases 10 billion naira to rebuild states affected by herdsmen, farmers' crises. You want to stay with us? Okay then, welcome back. You know, there's very little denying the apathy and depression experienced in states ravaged by the largely avoidable farmers' herdsmen crises of the past months. Nothing, therefore, could be considered too much in helping victims of the willful and wanton killings pick up the pieces of their distorted existence. President Muhammadu Buhari has released the sum of 10 billion naira, we are told, for the renovation of villages and rehabilitation of farmlands destroyed in Benue and other affected states. For us, the promise of ending the wanton killings as soon as possible is unquantifiable in naira terms.
Yes, it's such a terrible thing. 200,000 secondary schools burnt down. The destruction that these herdsmen made on communities is just similar to what Boko Haram does in Borno State. You set ablaze those buildings. After killing people, you set ablaze schools. So you have 200,000 secondary schools destroyed, 100,000 primary schools. A lot of those children are just at home. IDP camps, you have about 175,000 people in the various camps. And the vice president even visited some of those camps. And the people are saying, look, we want to return home. Help rebuild our communities. We want to return home. Some of the farmers say, look, we want to go back to our farms, but you must secure those communities because that's the only guarantee of peace. Once you secure those communities, the people can return home and continue to live their normal lives. So the destruction is massive, and it's not, I'm happy that we are not even talking about Benue alone now. Taraba, even Nasarawa, especially those local governments, about 4 of those local governments where you have considerable thief population in Nasarawa state, OB, local government, and the rest of them. Destruction, you know. The 2 local governments in Benue have been the worst hit, Logo and Goma. And those are the 2 local governments where the last 2 governors of the state come from. Yeah. Suswam and the current governor. They've been attacking those 2 local governments ceaselessly. And I've asked, you always say every part of Benue is fertile. How come is these 2 local governments that they concentrated
Maybe
the
most fertile.
Yes, yes. Someone told me that since creation there are areas in Benue that nobody has ever farmed on. So you can imagine how fertile those places will be, both for grazing and for even farming. So it's a good thing that the president has thought it wise at this time to rebuild those communities. We are doing well, we are securing those areas. As I said yesterday, for a long time now, I've not read any report that anybody was killed in Benue. Those the undesirable elements move from there to Taraba and Adamawa, and they are dealing with them, the armed forces are dealing with them in both states again, because we've seen considerable deployment of troops.
I hear the army
those
chief
places
has given the marching orders to the
That's for
soldiers.
those ones in Benengwari, that they must stop the killings. It's embarrassing.
Majid, if Benue sinks further, God forbid, the food basket is threatened, and so a food crisis looms.
Even as it were, it's threatened that, you know, Benue has always been referred, excuse me, to as the food basket of the nation, and you see that it's very sad that we allowed that to go on and unarrested. But I think the 10 billion is a good development, it's a good start, but then it's not enough, especially looking at the number of states and communities involved. It's not only Benue. But I think everywhere the vice president goes, he goes with good news, and he was the one that broke this news yesterday of the, it's coming from the president, but then the news was broken by the VP, just the same way he brokered peace in the Niger Delta. I mean, now we have 2.2 million barrels per day. So it's always a good thing. He knows how to mediate. He was able to even sing with those in the IDP. They were happy. They had a ray of hope. So if we get more government officials going to some of these IDPs to comfort them and reassure them that all will be well, I think it will boost their morale. And like Jide said, those who are those who have the urge to go back to their farms and their homes, I mean, government should do everything possible to make sure that this 10 billion don't go into the wrong hands. It should be properly monitored. Unlike, I mean, we've had instances where items and commodities meant for IDPs, I mean, ended up in the open market.
Especially rice bags.
Especially rice. So this 10 billion should be judiciously spent and should be monitored. Probably there should be a task force to monitor those who will be doing the execution of the disbursement.
I suppose opposition dismisses the gesture as an election gimmick. Are you surprised? No, it's not laughing matter.
I'm not surprised in this election year, you know, so they will have to look for all possible means, you know, for them to always bring down the government. But as it stands today, I think the vice president going there has given hope to the people. And what the government should be doing now is not to dash the hope.
Okay.
You know, they must ensure that the people who are already in the camps, about 8 camps in Benue, return home.
Yeah.
You know, because in returning, that is when they can go back to their occupation, which is farming. They want to go back home, and that is why. That is the only thing they want. Secure our homes and we'll return. They don't want to stay in camp because once you are in camp, in any camp, IDP camp,
the conditions there are deplorable.
It's deplorable. You are enslaved. It's just like you are a refugee in your own country.
You know what makes it worse for Benue? We had this flood late last year, around July or so last year, and many of them lost their farmlands to the flood. A lot of them lost their homes, and the refugee problem became really pronounced. The vice president also went there at that time to see them in the camp. So you are coming out of this flooding problem that caused you to lose your farms and all that. Then
to a crisis. Yeah. Gidi, you know, the Governor Otom, rubbed this in, told Mr. Vice President, well, take it to Mr. President, an enforcement of the prohibition of the open grazing law in place in the state.
Yeah, I agree with him, because I've seen even people in government who didn't agree that ranching was the solution. I've seen them eat their words and come back now to say, look, there's no alternative to ranching. They've seen the scale of killings, you know, and they now agree that ranching is the solution. One of them is the Minister of Agric. They have said, look, there's no solution to this problem beyond ranching. And we've seen the Federal Executive Council to come out to say, look, they were banning open grazing in about 6 states or so, where we have this problem. So the government cannot allow a situation in which people can roam free with their cattle and trample on people's farmlands. Because when someone tramples on your farmland, your blood will boil. Yeah. This is where these fightings begin. I always tell people that, look, the Fulani militia will not just kill people. It's usually in response, you know, yes, in response to provocation, like what happened in the Bachama area of Adama when they killed Fulani women and children. And you expect that they won't retaliate? Then again in Plateau State, they killed a Fulani boy because cattle trampled on farmland. And then they will now retaliate. This is how the killings start. Once there's retaliation, the cycle of retaliation continues.
All right.
So now the government has to do the right thing. No open grazing in all of those flashpoints.
Oh, we have a Mohammed joining us from Kano now. I greet you, Mohammed. Welcome.
Yes, sir.
I greet you, sir. Welcome.
Yes, Sharif Mohammed. Well, previously I want to congratulate you.
We thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, I've been watching the man here.
Okay, the resident president.
Mohammed, you are kekere.
Hello?
Mohammed, let's
Nache you
go.
are kekere, Mohammed.
Yes, what I appreciate about you is the objectivity about analyzing the problems in Nigeria.
Thank you.
And I pray you continue to do that. Thank you very much.
All right.
you.
And just to say, Mohammed and people like Mohammed, at this small table, all we do is rely on the facts available. And we have a bite at the facts. No magic. Quickly, we take it home. Majid?
Yes, like I said earlier, government will be doing justice to those in the IDPs by ensuring that that money is judiciously spent, and also for us to prevent a future occurrence. Because apart from Benue, other states are involved. So we open grazing is not something that we should encourage, because if we say these infidels are coming from Libya, now if we have
or outside of our
country, outside of our shores, if we have those cattle in a ranch, then they won't even go beyond the ranch. They will mind their business in the ranch.
Yes.
So it will be easy to grab them.
Asoko, one is not being anti-production, but when you hear that 70 children, babies are born, delivered to you, so you are wondering, so there's time for it. But then care must be taken.
Not manufactured.
But what we should be looking at,
maybe the seeds were sown
before
they
what we should be looking at is not to let our future be born in such conditions.
Yeah.
The government should be looking at that.
It's avoidable.
Very avoidable.
Again, take the debate to the next level. It does you and us a lot of good. Okay, then we'll take another break and return. Please don't go away. All right, then. The saying, it takes one wave to capsize a boat and one more to take it down, aptly applies to the ruling All Progressives Congress, APC, at the moment. One potentially threatening tidal wave is the perilous nature of the party in Rivers State, which is derisively referred to as rivers of blood. Concerned members of the APC yesterday sent an SOS to the president. In their words, intervene quickly in saving the party or saving the looming disaster. Gentlemen, one tidal wave is what you need.
Yes. I think that it has reached the point now that somebody has to save the APC from itself. And I see the president as probably the most qualified person, not even probably, the most qualified person to do that job of saving the APC. Because a lot of them now who are throwing their weights around in the party, they actually got to where they are thanks to the president's popularity, thanks to his integrity, thanks to the fact that Nigerians invested their faith in him. But today, they've become so power drunk that they behave like there's no tomorrow. They become the real gods of men. It's no longer pastors that are gods of men now.
Oh, yeah.
They are the real gods of men, and they are misbehaving in a way that threatens the very fabric of the party. And so the president has to step in, just as he did the other day, to save the party from possible loss of the 2019 general election. He has to step in where necessary. For example, look at what happened in Ekiti, where you had 33 contestants. None of them was prepared to step down for the other. And at the end of the day, we had the contest. We know now that in spite of that contest, the person who emerged a winner, the other aspirants are not happy with him. And many of them will be willing to work against him just so that he does not achieve his aim. People can't be in the same party and harbor such deep animosities against one another.
So it's all about vested interest.
Yes, vested interest, but interests have to be moderated. Once someone has emerged a winner in a contest that is deemed free and fair, then as good party men, you should be able to support that person. But what we usually have is people who profess support right there, but once they leave that hall, they'll start doing something else. You know, it's happened even with Fawashe's Dayadeye, who saw that this process was transparent, and he said yes, it was transparent, and he congratulated the winner. But as soon as he stepped out, he became a different person. So now the president has anticipated that this is the kind of role that I expect the president to play as the father. He's anticipated that, and he's going to have a meeting tonight with Ojudu and some of the key aspirants.
All the aspirants.
Yes, Segun Oni and all of them, yes. Now, because Kaude Fayemi actually went to see Segun Oni, but it's not enough. You can't leave that to him at this stage. So the president now is stepping in and talking to those guys. Both Segun Oni and Femi Ojudu are the president's appointees. So at least they can talk to them. Gentlemen, let's not rock the boat.
Majid, Ekiti is your state, and at the last exercise they were involved. So using...
It's my state as well, please.
It's adopted state.
Adopted.
But we have given
we underline that.
He's hiding no more. Pending the time he will be able to move to Kogi. Yeah.
Oh, so you still want me to move back to Kogi?
I'm sure you know.
When these characters...
Majid, I'm sure... Oh, come on. Don't use such words here, please.
Characters.
Please.
Okay.
Now, using Ekiti as a metaphor for the crisis in the APC across board, do you see the job that easy for Mr. President, according to Jide?
It's a very, very tough task. And as long as people take their personal interests above national interests, this will continue to happen. Magnus Abe addressed a press conference yesterday, and he was calling on the president not to surrender the soul of the party.
Yes.
I'm using his words. Not to surrender the soul of the party to massage the ego of a few men.
Yeah.
Imagine a
You want me to read that quote?
No, one man.
He said,
made references to
he
his
said,
state.
I respectfully call on our president not to surrender our nation to men without conscience.
Yeah.
This party must distance itself from the show of shame that is currently going on in Rivers State.
Yeah.
Now, there was a Congress, a World Congress and a local government Congress that could be best described as a sham. And these guys saw this, that no, this cannot fly. They went to court, and the court was about to make a pronouncement, and hoodlums they went to the court and shut down the court, preventing the court from sitting. Like we had in Ekiti in 2014. You can hear God.
All right,
So, if we have...
Majid, is that politics or something else?
We are talking of personal interest now. I mean, personal interest, ego, and greed. That's what you see. That's what politics. Now, in Ekiti, I just came back from Ekiti. Even when you know that you can't even come 5th or 6th, 3 of the aspirants scored zero as in no vote, because being an aspirant...
Not. Zero is not.
I am not. being an aspirant...
Like if we turn this thing upside down, that's what it will give us. Yes. Zero.
Odo. Zero. As in if you eat the eye of fish. If you eat Odo Eja. I mean, in those days.
You say Odo Rabata. Odo Eja.
Now, jokes apart, we cancelled them. Said, let us prune this number down. But they said, no, as typical Ekiti people, no, I will go to the contest. Yeah, we cancelled them. I'm a stakeholder in that state. But they said, no, let's go ahead.
Asukwa.
Yet
they are known as the fountain of knowledge.
No, it's not. It's not laying.
Break the
fountain of stubbornness.
Now, you see about 3 of them scoring zero, because being an aspirant, you might not be able to vote for yourself.
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because if you are not a delegate and you are not a statutory, you can't vote. So they end up scoring zero.
But you can be voted for, but you may not know.
Yes.
Okay, you folks have provoked a Chukuma in Delta. Chukuma, welcome.
I'm speaking on my Nigerian Hangout.
You are on, yeah.
But no, they have not answered me now. Today, nobody is attending to me. So
You are seeing us
waving
now.
at you. Nah, bros,
I want to shake your hands if it's possible.
good evening, Gide.
I will greet you, Chuku.
This is my first time of calling.
Yeah, congrats.
Hello, I'm hearing.
Okay, ignore the whole back. Just go on.
Just keep talking.
Good evening, Gide. I want to talk about the election in Rivers State.
Okay.
The issue of Abi and Amechi, for PDP to be supporting Abi, I think that there is something fishy there. If Abi wants to come out and work well on APC, even though when he lose or he win, I think let him stand on APC. Because the situation when PDP are supporting Abi, it's like there's something fishy in there.
That's an assumption.
Yes. But it's your right so to hold. Thank you. Yeah, Majid.
So, like I said, we had a situation where the battle went on, and a winner emerged. And you discovered that the Fayemi that won, he won with 480 votes margin. The person who came second, Chegwoni, up until 5th, 7th position. If you add all their votes, they won't still match. These are the people they were appealing to. Step down, match, they won't agree. So, personal interview, and you see them coming on.
Each of them thought he could win.
Yes, everybody thought they could win. Yeah. And they were there watching.
So, it's a tall order for Mr. President.
Tall order.
To fight this fire.
And look at what is happening in Imo. Imo is another critical example, where the governor is now even crying to Mr. President that you save him. Because the moment you take control of the world at the world's level, you have owned the party. So they have taken that away from him.
Okay, then, again, that debate must be taken to the next level. APC has a choice: destroying itself or making good its name. Okay, then, our last topic for the evening, very interesting. We talk about the politics of petrol consumption and supply in Nigeria, which is as combustible as the premium motor spirit itself. While the average man on the street loses sleep over a regime of refined products importation, with 4 refineries built with public money, players in the industry rationalize with ease why the shortfall in supply must still be imported. The NNPC has let it be known, and this beggars a lot of belief though, that the corporation accounted for the local refining of 1.5 billion liters of refined PMS consumed in 2017. That's a mere 10% of what you supplied throughout 2017.
Yes, I'm really ashamed. I'm really ashamed that we have moribund refineries, that we've not been able to build new refineries. The Saudis are right now exporting refined petrol, refined crude oil to the tune of 8.6
billion liters.
million barrels per day.
Okay.
8.6 million
barrels
yes.
per day.
They are leveraging on their wealth in crude oil to now focus on refining. Even when they suffered decline in crude oil sales, they made up with export of refined products. 8.6 barrels per day, 8.6 million barrels per day. That's really, really significant. Even the refinery that we are waiting for, Dangote's refinery, will give us 650,000 barrels per day. These guys, we are talking about exporting refined.
More than 10%?
Yes.
10% of...
They came up with 2 new refineries in 2016. And those 2 refineries account for 800,000 barrels a day. Just 2 refineries.
And it's for export.
We see focusing on export. They are building another one now in conjunction with India. That one too will give in excess of 800, what's it called? 400,000 barrels a day.
And this is not rocket science.
It's not. Every country continues to. Why, after all these years, some of those refineries were built in the 60s. We've not been able to build new ones. If Dangote had not come up with this idea, you see, when you hear our oil minister boasting that by 2019 we'll stop importing petroleum products, is because he thinks that by that year, Dangote will have completed this refinery. There is no magic, there is no plan. It's not as if something revolutionary will be done to our refineries. And we spend so much money on turnaround.
Jamiu, you know, the GMD of the NNPC revealed that we were the only member of OPEC still importing finished products. And, you know, in the whole world, it's a big shame. And you are wondering if the GMD relishes this.
Well, let's break this down. We consume about 15 billion liters per annum. And out of this, only about 1.5 billion liters, or 10%, comes from the 3 or 4 refineries, as you want to put it,
3.
Locally. Now, it means more than 12 billion liters are imported. And you can imagine the subsidy component of this. Now, you expect a government that is rational to have a rolling plan, because a refinery is not what you can build in a year. So you put it in your rolling plan, like a 3-year rolling plan. You can finish a refinery in 2 years. For the modular ones, you can do it in a year, but for the kind of refinery Nigeria needs. But then I think they know that there is no way such refineries could be efficiently managed. That's why
who are these they?
Well, the government. That's why...
Then say it is government, not
that's
they.
why, that's why government will continue to depend or leverage on the successes recorded by a Dangote, for example, to provide solution to our PMS problems, premium motor spirits. So if the amount of money we spend importing fuel per annum can build a new refinery for us a year for the next 4 or 5 years.
Did you hear the
Especially
latest
now that the prices are going up.
Are going
The
up.
more the prices go up, the more we pay.
Yes.
Which is an irony, curious one. Did you hear the money earmarked for ATM?
Yeah, turnaround maintenance. Yeah.
No, their bill is $1.8 billion.
$1.8 billion. And how much do you need to build?
No, the point is, how much will that give you?
How much will that give us? It won't give us more than 10%.
In 2016, the Nigerian refineries refined in total just 53 million liters.
Yeah.
53 million liters is just what we consume in a day.
And that year, they spent $580 million on turnaround maintenance on time. So you can, if you look at the figures, you know, some people are just...
That's why the National Assembly is reluctant to pay the $1.8 billion for a fresh turnaround. Nobody will release that kind of money.
The best thing is for them to just privatize privatize the refineries. When once they privatize the refineries, we will know what. Then the government can now start facing, if they want to, just like...
Okay, who buys them? Because you privatize power. You privatize the power sector.
And the wrong people inherit
it.
No, the thing is, if they privatize it, and they have a plan, because they just can't do it immediately.
Yeah.
They can have a plan.
Yeah.
Okay, in the next 3 years, now we have the oil prices going up. Then we can now start saying, okay, we can be removing so amount of money for us to build a new refinery, because they don't have it at all in their plans.
What they are trying to do is a PPP for management, for the running of the refineries. That's what they want to do. Not to totally give them.
Definitely, they will. That is another problem, because when once you say, oh, PPP, they will still put their person there. Then they frustrate the private investor that is there. So the best thing is just have a plan. If they have a template of maybe 10 years,
that's what we did to Mavis in the airport.
Exactly. Yeah. When once you do that, you will find out that so many people will want to invest in it. India has the biggest and the largest refinery in the world. And they are building more. They have more than enough.
Majid, how do you drop anchor on this?
We should have a plan that will give us a refinery rather than continue to import finished petroleum products.
Because it's possible. You did bury this.
Our import bill is intolerable. Our petroleum import bill is intolerable. It's extremely high. And even now that oil prices are going up, the government is having to spend so much on subsidy. So we just have to find a way to solve this problem, because it's bleeding the country. It's really bleeding us. So let's solve the problem and begin to refine our own petroleum products from here.
Because it is possible.
It is possible.
Before Dangote comes to our aid.
Exactly.
All right. So let's pack it all in for the midweek. Let me thank Babajide Kolade Utitoju for coming.
Thank you too.
Majid, tomorrow you join faithfuls across the world.
I start fasting tomorrow, so I won't be able to drink water. So I think I should take more.
All right. Pray for the country.
Drinking ahead of tomorrow.
Asuko, many thanks for.
We just pray that the president will find a way to, bring Abe and Amechi together. That's just mine.
Because
and me and the other
more than anything else, we don't need any more powerful men.
Yes.
We need powerful institutions that will produce powerful citizens. It is possible.
Yes.
All right. We
don't want violence.
Oh yeah. That's it for today. But join us tomorrow for another episode. Of course, you can watch a repeat broadcast of this one at 11. And you can also watch the program on other platforms, which we'll show on the screen now, and on YouTube at youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. The feedback channel remains the same. I am Citizen Jones Hussein. Bye-bye now. God bless Nigeria.